The hallway is pitch black, but I can hear the sound of a suitcase zipping shut. That mechanical slide of teeth meeting teeth, it's the loudest thing I've ever heard. I'm 6 years old, standing in my pajamas at the top of the stairs. My breath is hitched in my chest. I'm trying not to make a sound because I'm afraid if I'm seen, the choice will be made faster. I see her silhouette by the front door. She isn't looking up at my room. She's looking at him. The man by the rental car. The man who isn't my father. Let's go back a few hours. The dinner table was quiet. Too quiet. Like the air before a massive storm. She kept checking her watch. Every 30 seconds. Click, look. Click, look. I asked her for more juice. She didn't even turn her head. She just said, "Go to your room, Leo. Mommy needs to think." Think about what? I asked. She finally looked at me, and her eyes weren't my mom's eyes. They were cold. They were already gone. I went to my room, but I didn't play. I sat behind the door, with my ear pressed to the wood. Then the front door opened. I heard his voice. Deep, rough. The kind of voice that makes a house feel smaller. "Are you ready?" he asked her. "No, hello. No, how are the kids?" Just a demand. I heard her muffled crying. Then I heard her laugh. That was worse. The laugh meant she was choosing the excitement over the duty. I crept out to the landing. The carpet felt scratchy under my feet. I watched her throw her favorite coat over her shoulder, the one she wears to church. He reached out and grabbed her waist. He pulled her close, right there in our entryway. My dad's picture was on the wall right behind them. They didn't care. She whispered something I couldn't hear. He nodded toward the stairs. Toward me. "What about him?" he asked. His voice was like sandpaper. My heart stopped. This was it. This was the moment I became a variable in an equation. There was a long silence. I could hear the clock ticking in the kitchen. She sighed. It wasn't a sad sigh. It was an annoyed one, like I was a chore she forgot to finish. "His father will be back on Monday," she said. It was Friday night. "He's 6, the man said. He actually sounded more concerned than she did. "He knows how to use the microwave," she snapped. "He'll be fine. Let's go before I change my mind." Change her mind. Like I was a pair of shoes she was considering returning. I stepped forward. The floorboard creaked. They both looked up. I saw her face. She didn't look guilty. She looked caught. "Mommy," I whispered. My voice sounded tiny, like it belonged to someone even younger. She didn't move toward me. She actually took a step back, closer to the door. Closer to him. "Go back to bed, Leo," she said. Her voice was shaking, but her eyes were set. "Where are you going?" I started walking down the stairs. 1 step. 2 steps. The man stepped outside. He didn't want to watch this. He was waiting in the rain. "I'm going to find my happiness, Leo," she said. Happiness. I thought I was her happiness. That's what she told me every night. "When are you coming back?" I reached the bottom step. I reached for her hand. She pulled her hand away. She actually flinched when I touched her. "I don't know," she said. The honesty was like a physical punch to the stomach. She opened the door. The cold air rushed in, smelling like wet pavement and gasoline. "Wait," I screamed. I didn't care about being quiet anymore. She didn't wait. She stepped out onto the porch. I ran to the threshold. I didn't have shoes on. The cold concrete bit into my soles. She was getting into the passenger seat of his car. A black sedan. It looked like a hearse in the moonlight. I stood on the lawn. "Mom, please. I'll be good. I won't ask for juice anymore." I thought I did something wrong. I thought it was my fault. The engine turned over. A low growl that drowned out my crying. She looked at me through the window. For 1 second, I saw a flash of the old her. But then she looked at him. He put his hand on her neck. She looked away from me. She looked forward. The car pulled out of the driveway. Slow at first, then fast. I ran after it, in my pajamas, down the sidewalk. "Mom, stop. Mom." The red taillights grew smaller and smaller. 2 little dots of blood in the dark. I ran until my lungs burned, until I tripped and scraped my knees on the gravel. I laid there on the ground. The rain started to fall properly now. I looked back at our house. All the lights were on. It looked so warm, but the door was wide open, an open wound. I walked back, shivering. My knees were bleeding, mixing with the rainwater. I stepped inside and shut the door. I turned the deadbolt. The silence of the house was terrifying. It felt like the furniture was watching me. I went to the kitchen. I looked at the microwave. "He knows how to use the microwave," she had said. I hated her in that moment. I hated her more than I loved her. I found a box of crackers. I sat on the floor and ate them in the dark. Every car that passed by, I jumped. I thought, she's coming back. She forgot something. She didn't forget something. She left exactly what she intended to leave. I fell asleep on the kitchen tiles. I woke up to the sun hitting my face. For a second, I forgot. Then I saw the empty juice glass on the table, and the memory hit me like a wave. Saturday passed. I watched cartoons until the screen felt like it was burning my eyes. Sunday was worse. The hunger started to really hurt. I sat by the window all day, watching the street. Every woman with blonde hair made my heart leap, and then it would drop. I realized then that she wasn't just gone for the weekend. She had traded me. She traded my bedtimes, my scraped knees, and my graduations for a man who didn't even know my middle name. When my dad finally walked through the door on Monday, he found me sitting in the same spot. He dropped his bags. He saw my face, and he knew. He held me so tight, I could barely breathe, but it didn't matter. The part of me that needed a mother had died on that gravel driveway, chasing those red taillights into the dark. My dad didn't say a word for an hour. He just sat on the floor with me, rocking back and forth, his chin resting on the top of my head. I could feel his chest hitching. He wasn't just crying for me. He was crying for the version of us that died the second she shut that car door. Then he stood up, wiped his eyes, and walked over to the kitchen counter. He picked up a favorite coffee mug, the one with the hand-painted sunflowers, and he didn't throw it. He just set it gently inside the trash can and covered it with a paper towel so I wouldn't have to see it. That was the first lesson I learned about betrayal. You don't always scream. Sometimes, you just get quiet. A week later, I found a note tucked inside the pocket of my school jacket. It was her handwriting, loopy, elegant, and smelling faintly of the perfume she always wore. It said, "Leo, you're a big boy now. You are always too smart for your own good. Don't be mad at me for needing to breathe." I read the word breathe over and over. I wondered if I was the thing that was suffocating her. I didn't show my dad the note. I took it to the backyard and buried it under the oak tree. School became a different kind of torture. "Where's your mom, Leo?" the teachers would ask. I'd tell them she was traveling. I'd tell them she was finding herself. It's a heavy burden for a kid protecting the reputation of the person who abandoned you. Months turned into a year. My dad worked 2 jobs. He was tired, but he was there. One night, the phone rang at 3 a.m. I watched from the shadows as my dad answered it. I heard her voice through the receiver. It was thin, shaky, and coming from 1,000 miles away. She was crying. She was asking to come home. She said, he, the man with the sandpaper voice, wasn't who she thought he was. My dad looked at the stairs. He looked right at me, hiding in the dark. He didn't ask me what he should do. He just whispered, "The locks have been changed," and he hung up the phone.